Hi, my name's Marion Rose and welcome to my welcome series on aware parenting. So this is the first video on aware parenting and I really just want to give you an overview of what it's all about. Aware parenting is really great if you have done any of your own emotional work, if you've done any therapy or personal growth work or inner development work, because what you'll find is aware parenting really looks at understanding babies and children's feelings and needs. So it's really different from so many other parenting paradigms. If you think about the history of parenting, we came from very much an authoritarian paradigm up until very recently, where we really looked at parents' needs and we really didn't look at babies and children's needs. In fact, we thought that babies and children didn't really have needs or feelings. And as we've really started to understand more about babies and children in the last 50, 60, 70 years, there was a real swing away to what we now call attachment parenting. And that was really understanding about that babies and children do have needs and it's really important to listen to their needs. But what happened then is that sometimes it swung too far the other way, that permissive parenting became the way. It was really listening to babies and children, but really ignoring the needs of parents. And aware parenting is what's called a democratic style of parenting, because it's really about listening to the needs of both babies and children and parents, and it's really finding ways to meet everyone's needs. And the way it does that is in such a beautiful way, because it's really a different paradigm of understanding human beings. So understanding not only why babies and children do the things they do, like waking up frequently at night or not cooperating or hitting or biting or not listening or having tantrums or crying when they go to school, really understanding all of those things and what the root cause of them is. But it's also about understanding parents too. So it's really understanding why we sometimes act in ways that we really regret as parents, how we sometimes may get harsh or shouty when we're really trying to be compassionate and loving. So what I love about aware parenting is it's really combining both of those approaches, because it really comes from this core perspective. And that perspective is that human beings come into the world just aware and present, and I call it the 3 C's, that we all naturally want to connect, cooperate and contribute. And if we're not doing those 3 things, whether we're a baby or a child or whether we're a parent, there's a really important reason for that. So what aware parenting does is really looks at that root cause and actually makes changes at that root cause. So instead of trying to fix things on the outer level, which is what most parenting paradigms have done up until now, with punishments and rewards and trying to kind of fix things up here. And the same with parents. You know, if as parents we've done something we didn't want to do, there's guilt and shame and judgment of other parents. It's really understanding that there's a reason for behaving like that for all of us, and that actually through listening to needs and listening to feelings, particularly crying and tantrums and laughter, and that's for children too as well as parents, that we can then naturally return to this aware, present, calm, cooperative state where we really want to give, we want to share things, we're able to be the most loving parent we can be, and our children can be loving towards their sister, they can be gentle with the dog, they can share their toys, they're able to sleep through the night. So it's really looking at that root cause. And while I'm here, I just wanted to show you a few of Aletha Solter's books. So Aware Parenting was developed by Aletha Solter, who's a Swiss-American developmental psychologist. And I'll introduce myself too. I'm a level 2 aware parenting instructor and a mum of 2 kids. And I've been practicing this style of parenting for more than 13 years now, and I love it as much as I ever did. And I'll just show you some of her books. If you want to start, if you're interested in this style of parenting as a start off, Tears and Tantrums is a great place to start. So that's my daughter more than 10 years ago and her dad. It's really a different way of looking at tears and tantrums rather than the kind of mainstream way of seeing it as misbehavior, or maybe more since then ways that we've kind of gone more into trying to subdue or calm down children when they're crying or having tantrums. And what aware parenting does, it really reframes tears and tantrums. It's actually this amazing healing mechanism. I call it therapy for kids. And it's just the same for parents. It's therapy for parents as well. So lovely, lovely book. Really highly recommend it if you're interested in finding out more about this approach. Another book, if you don't know about aware parenting, lovely one, another one from Aletha. These are all Aletha Salter's books. This one's Attachment Play. That's me and my son on the cover a few years ago. And Attachment Play, we'll talk about this more in another video, but we really don't understand often, in mainstream parenting, the power of connection and play to actually help both prevent and act in the moment when those most challenging situations happen with our kids. So in this book are all kinds of ways to respond when our kids won't cooperate, or when they get kind of antsy, or when they just kind of seem to be not listening to us, or when they're dragging their feet along when we're trying to get somewhere, or when they won't get in the car. All those things that can be really frustrating for us as parents. There are solutions in ways of actually connecting and playing. And again, this isn't about a plaster that sits on the top. This is about really fixing the root cause of why children don't cooperate. And as I say, I'll talk more about that in a later video. Fantastic book, highly recommend this one too. If you have a baby, or a baby between the years of 0 and 2, then The Aware Baby is the book I recommend for you. Such a lot of an amazing information, both research and really understanding babies and children and their needs, and really understanding what's going on. What happens when a baby's feeding 2 hours throughout the day and night at 6 months or a year and a half, and how can we help them sleep without leaving them on their own? So how can we help get our needs for sleep and rest and their needs for connection and being heard? The Aware Baby has got all that in there. It's just such a beautiful and rich book. And if you have kids from 2 to 8 and you want to understand more, not just about crime, but about understanding sibling rivalry and all the kind of tricky things around discipline, then I really recommend Helping Young Children Flourish. This is Aletha Salter's daughter on the cover, but when she was much younger. So they're Aletha Salter, her children now adults, and her son has children of his own. So there are kids who've been brought up this way, and I can certainly testify for myself as well that children who get to express their feelings and have their needs met and naturally want to cooperate and connect and all the things that we want for our children to be loving and compassionate and considerate of other people is actually their natural state. And if we actually practice these things that Aletha talks about, we can help them be that without ever resorting to any kinds of rewards or punishments. We can actually help them stay connected to that beautiful state that they are. I always remember when my kids were younger, say about 2 and 6, and we'd go out to a restaurant and they'd be sitting quietly for hours, and at the end maybe the restaurateur or something would say, "Wow, your kids are so good, good." And I kind of laugh and kind of chuckle, because I really knew that the reason they were able to be so calm at places like that was because at home they got lots of opportunity to express their feelings, to have big cries and to have big tantrums and to have lots of connection. It meant that when they were out and about, they were so calm, naturally calm and relaxed, not because I'd told them you have to be calm and relaxed when we're at the restaurant, or not because they felt scared of what would happen if they weren't, but because they actually felt calm and relaxed in their bodies. And that's really understanding that children want to cooperate, they want to be calm, they want to be connected. They just need our help in understanding these natural healing mechanisms they have to actually return them to that natural state of calm and peace. And I'll be talking more about those in future videos. Excuse the next door neighbour's dog, is having a little barks joining in. And another book by Aletha is Raising Drug-Free Kids. And you might say, but what's that got to do? I've got a baby or a 3-year-old. This isn't relevant for me, surely. But this is designed for parents of babies, newborns to 25-year-olds, because the core of aware parenting is about helping children be deeply connected to themselves, deeply connected to their feelings, so that when they're teenagers, if they have painful feelings or they're excluded, they don't need to turn. They're very unlikely to turn to drugs and those kinds of things to repress feelings, because they're still able to come to us, their parents are still able to talk about what's going on. So of course, how we respond to our baby and child's feelings is going to really impact the way they respond to their own feelings and how they are with their feelings as teenagers and young adults. So it's a beautiful book, again, if you're really wanting to help your child have real emotional resilience and deep connection with themselves, it's a beautiful book. So thank you so much for watching today. I will be doing a whole series going into more depth on various things such as loving limits, because aware parenting it's not permissive parenting, but it's understanding that when we do need to set limits, there's a certain reason for that, and that we can do that in a very loving and connected and compassionate way. We don't need to be harsh, and we don't need to be punishing to actually help our children connect to their true desire to connect and cooperate. I'll be talking about sleep, because there are ways to help our babies and children sleep calmly and peacefully without ever needing to resort to leaving them alone to cry. And in terms of all the discipline issues around cooperation and hitting and biting, I'll be talking more about that too. So thank you so much for watching. Apologies about the dog barking in the background. I hope you've enjoyed this. And if you want to read more about aware parenting, you can look at Aletha Salter's website, which is www.awareparenting.com, or my website, which is www.marianrose.net. Thanks, and have a lovely day.